Hey y'all, happy Monday. I am trying something a little different right now. We are going to go live, hopefully on Instagram if we can. But dude, if you missed Friday, you need to make sure that, yeah, you might want to get that. So we had Alan Kay with the Shift EQ on, and that was something that was just absolutely incredible. And I think we're live right now on Insta. So let me just check this and see because StreamYard has finally allowed ourselves to do this. And if that's the case, we're gonna be a whole new ball game on our StreamYard. And that is the case. So check this out. This is the first time. Hello to Hyberleet, by the way, Mike and Megan Hamilton. Um, Man, we ended up doing the Friday Fitcast with Alan, and I just saw the release of James Mickles and Alan on Instagram. So if you look at the Shift EQ, if you look at James's, dude, he brought the fire on something, and I think it's time to address it. If you look at the title right here, we're talking about really the power of our fitness industry going back to the athlete and the organization not having near as much power as they used to. I think it's time to address the chokehold that a lot of organizations think they have and the restrictions that they can put in on athletes to um, hold that market and see if they can grow it because it's out of fear, not out of respect or choice. And I saw a whole shift in 2023 going this way, and I think everybody else did too. And now we're going to probably chime in on this a little bit to be able to talk about how 2024 is going to look. So I'm not going to name organizations. However, there was an organization that had a championship and their European counterpart left to go to another partner, and that's really going to shake up that organization here in the United States. But more importantly, is it a better opportunity for them? And the answer is we don't know. What we're looking to do is we're looking to find out what athletes wanted so we can provide that for them so they don't have to waste their money with organizations that try and hold on to the athlete based on rules, restrictions, and regulation. There should be a choice that the athlete makes that allows them to compete anywhere, anytime, any place, even if they're considered a professional. And the reason why I say that is because I know that's very debatable and it's highly controversial because when you are a pro athlete, you sign a contract. And, that's important to do because you're a professional athlete. And I looked up what a professional athlete was. And people asked me, why don't you have a pro league? Just honor everybody's pro card. Well, the problem is, there are amateurs that get overlooked that work just as hard as pros do, but they don't get the recognition because they don't have a pro status. You can go to certain organizations and show up at a local show and get your pro card. I mean, there might be two or three people in that show, and that to me is there's zero respect for that person who got their pro card. They didn't earn their pro card. So, this was said even when we had Alan on, and it was said that don't be in a hurry to go pro because if you are, that's usually probably one of the last times that you'll win, or maybe even one of the last times that you'll be on stage. Let's just take a word the way away the word pro for a second. You're eligible to earn money as an independent contractor because you won a contest, right? That's basically what we're doing. Everybody keeps asking me, how can amateurs win money? Why are amateurs being paid? How can amateurs be paid? And it's really shaken up a lot of these different promoters who have to play by the rules with organizations. They're like, well, why don't we do that? Well, because you're working under their rules and restrictions. And there are more promoters that have gone independent. A great example of this is Mark Turiello. Mark Turiello with Mr. America does have a pro league. However, it's a non-sanctioned or independent show, which means there is not an organization that he is a part of or affiliated with strictly to play by their rules, if that makes sense. So I think about, and I see Isaac and I see Chris just joined us as well. And I see Tony, hello to you, and Riley, hello to you in California. This is just a little test to see how the Instagram is going on live stream, and I'm hoping it's coming by, it's coming through well. Hopefully there's no echo. If there is an echo, put it in the comment section so I know. so I can either see it, because I'm also streaming on Twitter right now, or X, as well as YouTube. So I want to be able to get this message out and get the word out, and also be able to do this for future podcasts, as we have another special guest this Friday, which we're going to be talking a lot. Small echo? Okay, good to know. Thank you. We're going to be talking a lot about what's going to be happening here next year. As we're winding down, we have 2 weeks left, and please let me know if that echo went away, because I think that, might have been the ticket. I can't do it live on, Instagram, and then also I just shut down the Instagram, but it's still going live. Oh, I do hear that echo. Alright. We'll see. But anyway, let's talk about it. I'm gonna try and find that out here in just a second, but I'll edit that here soon. If you, by the way, can also, if you're watching on Facebook, if you can tell me if there's an echo there, that would be important, because now I'm gonna realize that my technique changed up and mixed or streamed around a bit, but, we'll do it there. Let me pull this back up real quick. See, a small echo? Okay. Going forward for us, we're gonna be very careful about who we endorse and who we support. And the reason why I think that's so important is because, um, being in this industry for long enough, we know that, there are people in this industry who are doing it right, and there are promoters and there are certain organizations that are doing it the right way. And so you'll notice very early on last year, we were openly promoting and endorsing and kind of co-signing. Thank you, Isaac, and welcome, Alan. We were talking about you a little earlier in Savannah. Hi. Um, we wanted to co-sign for everybody we possibly could, because we wanted to support the sport. And what we were finding was, I'll just be very transparent on this here. Um, Isaac has done a great job when he was a promoter, because he ran the largest shows for the organization he was with, because people followed him and he led by example, because they knew he would put on a good production. He would do it for the right reasons, because he was an athlete himself and he had a great understanding of what they wanted. So, knowing that, as we got through the first couple of posing clinics, which, we're gonna have 8 total posing clinics this year in 2024. That is going to be a record in itself. But I wanna talk about the email I got today too here in just a second. I was starting to see that there were organizations that were also trying their best to do their best, but I have a hard time, with organizations who cancel their shows, or their show numbers are really suffering because they're not doing the work year round. Um, I saw this happen about 4 or 5 years ago, where, promoters thought that all you have to do is put up a couple posters in a gym or talk about the show for 3 or 4 weeks out. And I had this conversation with a promoter in Florida, and they're like, "That's not how it's done. I mean, how do you get so many great athletes?" And the answer is very simply, if you're a promoter, you never stop promoting. You're talking about the things that you're going to do, not the things that you wish you could do. And you have to deliver and you have to follow through, and your word and your character and your integrity is everything. Now, not everybody gets it right, but I'll say that I'm finding that most competitors are making their plans for the shows. They've probably already made their decision for the 2024 season. I would say about 20 to 30% of them have. Now, there's another maybe 40 to 60% of those athletes that are in the middle right now that says, "I wanna compete, but I'm not really sure where and when yet, because I haven't talked to my coach." We had our coaches luncheon and our coaches appreciation this last Friday. It really opened my eyes to see, I didn't wanna talk shop, I just wanted to get to know the coaches. And interestingly enough, most of the coaches that I spoke with, matter of fact, I talked to all of them while I was there, most of them were wanting to talk about how great their team was. They weren't talking about how great their coaching was. They were talking about their team. And then they were trying to talk about how great they're going to be in our shows. And I'm like, that's not what the point of this get together is about. It's just about to celebrate you guys who have supported us, whether it be publicly or privately, and being able just to get back, let our hair down, and just not talk shop for a little bit. I think that gets lost. I think that most people with that mindset, and we had our production coordinator there, Enrique was there. Cortez drove down from Dallas. My wife was there, and she made beanies and she made notebooks for everybody. And we just wanted to be able to have that kind of family environment. And here's what happened. After that, we got so much positivity and so much feedback from it. We're like, well, crud, that was only a small percentage of our coaches that are involved with us. Really, what is our reach? And so when I put a post out in Arizona and I said, "Hey, coaches, for those of you who are involved with the Desert Storm Classic, if we scheduled something, could I take you out to lunch and can we just, hang out?" And overwhelmingly, they said, "Yes, I want to do that. Would love to. Want to hear more about the show." And so now we're going to get out to Phoenix and we're going to do the same thing. And we're going to make a round two here in Houston. So I'm publicly saying that because I think what ends up happening is I don't want any coach to feel left out if they want to be involved. And there are some amazing coaches with amazing teams. And so one of the messages I got, this was a female coach that only has a bikini team. And she only just, coaches contest prep for bikini. That's totally cool. And she goes, I don't really have a big team, but I would love to be able to be involved. And I'm like, cool. Well, how big is your team? What do you consider big or small? And she goes, well, I only have 11 athletes right now, but I'm growing that to 15 or 20. I'm like, that's not a small team. I mean, that's a full-time gig. So I think we tend to underestimate our abilities. If you're a coach, you're very proud of your work. You're proud of your knowledge. You're paid very well for it if you're very knowledgeable, and also your results speak for yourself. Now, not everybody is a contest pro coach. So some of you are lifestyle coaches, which means you don't really train people for the stage to compete. Some of you are transformation coaches, which it might be just someone who wants to be on a weight loss journey or a transformation or a body recomposition journey. You don't really that to me is still someone who is just as important as someone who has 112 athletes. Now we have some coaches who literally have a long list of probably anywhere between 50 to 150 athletes that they could put on stage. Some of them are in their off season. Some of them 2024 is their year. Some of them they have competitors that just compete year round. 2023, 2024. They competed in 2022, and those people might be pros, they might be amateurs, they might be going for their pro card, they might be brand new to the stage. So I got an email today. This came through the website with an inquiry, and this was a young lady. She's 42 years old, and she's like, "I heard about your show through four different people in Arizona, and I want to know what beginner means and what novice means, and if I can compete, what's the difference?" So she did a show last year with an organization, and I said, "Hey, we would love to have you. Number one, beginner is for first timers ever in one of our shows. You can compete as a beginner. Novice is someone who has competed on our stage before, but maybe they don't feel like they're really ready for open to be in an open division where maybe current pros or high level amateurs or nationally qualified type athletes are going to be competing. So it might be a little intimidating to them, and that's why we have novice. And then there's other people who say, I want to do beginner, novice, and open. And if I'm age eligible, I want to do masters as well. And that's an opportunity to be able to do it. And she was extremely thankful. That is really cool. I wanted to hear that. I didn't really know what it was about. She goes, "Tell me about the prize money. How can amateurs win prize money?" Well, it's very simple. You're an ambassador and an ICA, which is an independent contractor. We have you sign an agreement for the day. You take a picture on social media with your big check, and you're considered an independent contractor for the day, and you're able to be paid for your contest winning. Um, that was kind of cool to her. She never really thought about that or heard that. And so, yeah, I'm giving away all the secrets right now. Really, any show could pay an amateur if they wanted to. It's whether they choose to or not. Um, when you start getting prize money at the level that we're getting at, which is $51,000 next year, yeah, it's really something that we have to work harder at on the back end to make sure that our sponsorships and partnerships are able to come through so we can afford to pay out that money because that doesn't even include the overhead, the production, the venue, staffing, hotels, the travel, all those things, the trophies, the awards, the presentations. You know, none of that stuff is necessarily cheap. And so, as we're looking to the American Fit Expo, for example, we're upping the production because we know that a lot of big names and eyes are going to be on that show. We're also going to be able to live stream it, so that can be seen from anywhere in the country or anywhere around the world if you're interested in maybe somebody who is competing on stage, or if you wanna know what a straight through format is because we don't have the morning and night gig, which, I don't understand why charging twice for a ticket makes sense, so I didn't wanna have somebody come in for prejudging and, spend 30 to $50 on a prejudging ticket, and then, they go eat lunch, and then they wait around until the evening for 3 hours, and then they come back at night just to see somebody get the trophy and where they placed, and spend another 30 to $50. So it doesn't really make that sense. And what we did was we've done a straight through format to where it's basically one ticket price. If you want general admission or if you want VIP, just one ticket price, 40 for GA, VIP is 60. That's it. Makes it easy. And you don't have to stay the whole day. The good news is the reason why we have it set up the way we have it at the American Fit Expo is because there's a general admission to the American Fit Expo, which is $20. We cover that in the ticket. So we're going to have a roped off area just for seating for GA and VIP for anyone wanting to come watch our show. And so what we do is we give the money back to the American Fit Expo. So if anyone came in, they can also go walk around the Fit Expo after they've seen their friends competing. Or if they wanted to stay for a few hours and go walk around and come back in, it's in and out privileges. Once they get their credentials, their wristbands, their lanyards and everything, they're able to come in and out as they please throughout the day. And I think that to me made more sense than charging twice for tickets, trying to figure out what a morning and night show was, spending all day doing that. Now, when I say that, there was also something that was brought up because organizations are having to pivot and they're having to make accommodations and changes because the numbers in general, I'm not going to say specifically with any specific organization, the numbers in general are hurting. And as we talk to our official vendors, as we talk to other promoters, um, in general, if they're going down or they're hurting or they're light, it's going to make them rethink how they structure their presentation, their production, their shows, their advertising, and also the amount of money they're willing to put back in. What I have found is the more money we put into a show, the better off it is for the people who are wanting to be featured on stage. And that has been a big turning point for me because as I'm starting to look at digitizing certain things, making sure that, our lighting is top notch. We've got the right lighting. We've got the right size stage. We've got the right height. It's placed in an area where it's going to be conducive. It's got a bigger backstage, plenty of pump up room. Tanners and glazers can be there. Hair and makeup can be close as well. And we have the right flow going on stage, being on stage, and then coming off and being able, for those of you who are in crossover and going right back around, for example, if you're in beginner and then in novice, you're going to go right back on and go line right back up after you're done. Those are little things in the production side of it. So I'm looking more at giving the power back to the athletes. Now, the one thing that I also will be doing is we are going to be having an athlete of the year. We're going to be having a male athlete of the year, a female athlete of the year, a kids fitness transformation. And I think that in order to understand how hard these athletes work, now that we have 4 events and there will be athletes this year coming up that will be in all 4 of our events. Like, I know of at least a handful of athletes that said, "I am doing every single show for 4 straight months with you." They want a shot at open money, and that's totally fine. Um, I've never really experienced that before, but I was just looking back at the 2022 pictures today. I was digging into, I was like, okay, so let's talk about and let's figure out how many athletes from 2022, when we were at our first independent show, ended up doing the summer show in 2023. It was a fairly large number of returning athletes. And then the same thing in the Desert Storm Classic. And then the same thing in the October show. And now we're getting verbal commitments already where people are making their plans to be able to have a shot to line up their prep to where literally every 4 weeks they have a show for 4 months. I don't know how it's going to work, but I will say the dedication, they're going to be in the running for athlete of the year. And those are the type of athletes that show up competitive because they have a good plan. It also keeps them on tasks to stay on prep for that certain amount of time because they might be slightly off on one of those show and they might be on for the rest of the three, or they might be off for two and on for two, or they might win a show. The last show of the year or the second show. I don't really know how that's going to pan out yet, but we have seen athletes dominate in certain categories to where they can do that, and I like that. Moving into this, I just have to shout out James Mickle because he said it used to be the organizations that have the power, and now the athletes do. And here's why: if you run a great experience for them, if they are treated right, if they're rewarded, even if they don't win, if they just can walk away from the show, even if they didn't place and they feel good about it, that is a big win. Here's what's going to happen: that athlete is either going to come back to a show, or they're going to watch the show, they're gonna do the show, they're gonna tell people about their experience in their circle. And I have to agree with you, Chris. They were great words. He was fired up too. And James and I have had conversations to where I'm like, man, that is so much truth. And I hashtag truthed it as well. But go look at that clip. I shared it on my Matt Strom official page. I know we're on the Strom Classic International page right now on there. When I shared it, I saw the people who saw it, and they know what I'm talking about with this. If you have one bad experience at a show, you're going to tell 10 people. If you have a great experience at a show, you're going to tell three. So if we're going to grow the sport, it's our duty, it's our responsibility on our end. When I'm talking about our responsibility, I'm talking about our staff that represent our brand. I'm talking about volunteers, talking about a venue, the promoter, the judges, the MC, the expediters, the trophy presentation, the trophy presenters, security, ticket holders and takers. Those are those little things. And then I started to think, what can we do to get more eyes on you? And now we're formulating a plan. This has been going on for about 2 months. We're formulating a plan to go after some bigger companies that are very well known in the city of Houston and also in the city of Phoenix. We have been talking, we have been showing up at businesses, we have been patiently waiting to talk to business owners. We're finding a way to see if we can increase those and fortify those relationships so we can give more back, because we know once they see what we're doing and experience the production and the event live, well, they're going to be on board for next year or the next event. And that's where I think we have the opportunity to grow the most. So we've got people working behind the scenes. We had the coaches appreciation lunch, and we got these big 11 by 17 posters. And what I did was I printed off all four of the first four posing clinics, which is in February, March, April, and May. All four of those are in Houston. One's in Texas City at World Gym. That's going to kick off February. And then March, we're going to have Gold's Gym up in Northwest Houston. And then Iron City in April. And then in May, we're going to go back to Gold's Gym in Friendswood, where we had our biggest posing clinic we have ever run. We plan to make that a really nice and healthy posing clinic. And that's going to help feed our July show, because at every single stop, we have professional coaches. And if you know of Amy, Amy has right around 64 women's clients right now that they're pros, they're top level amateurs, and she's one of the best coaches I have seen. She invited me to one of her clinics and she goes, I just kind of threw this together at the last minute. 35 girls showed up and they drove in from all over the state of Texas, and she nailed it. Like, I was watching, she had a videographer there. I was watching just how she was managing that group of girls, and everybody got something out of it. They were so excited to be there. They were so thankful. We have coaches like that. And I will say that the other two that I'm working on, which I'm pretty sure they're going to be with us, it's going to blow your mind the amount of knowledge that they have in bodybuilding, classic physique, women's physique, men's physique, figure, wellness, bikini. And they can do transformation. They can teach a 60-second choreographed routine for kids fitness. Like, they're so versatile that this is one of the reasons why our posing clinics are going to be at the next level, especially this year coming up. Now, with those 4, we also put the 4 events on there. So we did another 11 by 17 poster where we had the American Fit Expo Summer Storm Classic July 13th. And then we had the Desert Storm Classic, which the new poster, I just saw the first revision come through. My guy who makes posters, we go through London. So there's a little bit of a time difference. So I wanted to make sure to have all of the athletes that won that show on the poster. And so there's a little bit of a redesign right now, and that'll be to me probably by the end of the week. And so I'll be sharing that out, especially on the Desert Storm Classic poster. That is amazing. I can't wait to see that because I made a couple little tweaks and adjustments to it. And you're also going to notice the prize money increases. And here's why the prize money increased. It's not that we increased first place, but I have to be clear about that. It's because women's physique is making. And so now all the divisions, with the exception of women's bodybuilding, I've gotten the interest to say if we have 9 girls in women's physique, which it only takes 5 to make the payout, well, that adds another 750, another 300, and another 200. So we're looking at, a payout there. And then you have to add masters, 300 and 200. So you're looking at adding an extra 2 to $3,000, and that's where your prize money comes in. I think it comes out to 12,000 and change. And then once the best posing awards come in, we now have opportunities for companies to come in and say, I want to sponsor all 7 divisions of that show for best posing. So I want to give the big check to that athlete. And I also want to take a picture with them on stage. So it's another way for exposure for the business. And we put the big logo on that check. So it's pretty cool. We like to feature our partners and our sponsors and our businesses that way, whether they're local, regional, or national companies. And that takes the prize money up even more. So there's a minimum payout. And so we were at 10,000 last year. We're now at 13,000 for the American Fit Expo, and then also for the Desert Storm Classic. Now, yes, the Storm Classic is always the bigger one, which is a $25,000, and the Storm Classic UK is not a paid out show. That's just part of our brand. Chris Proctor is the promoter of that, and I am providing a lot of the awards. We're going to take an American team over in September. And so the 22nd of September, which is a Sunday show, same thing as October 13th. Well, that is going to be, I've seen the venue. We went to the venue. There was a show there last, or I should say, it's now about 6 or 7 weeks ago. An amazing, amazing venue. And so that'll be an experience in and of itself. As much as we'd like to pay out that show, we understand that that will be a much different flavor because that show is also qualifying athletes in Europe to bring them over to our October show. And that costs a lot of money. To bring an athlete over from London and to bring an American athlete to London, just to let you know, is anywhere between $2,000 and $3,000 an athlete that we pay for. So it's extremely important that we're careful not to overdo it. And that's one of the reasons why we took 2 athletes and then we threw a wild card in there and paid for that flight for that third athlete. And they were gracious and they accepted, and they'll take care of the rest on that. So many things to do and so many things to look forward to. When we think about building an organization or empire, right? Because I don't really call us an organization. We really aren't. We're just able to do things like an organization and adjust and change rules as we go if we see that it needs to be adjusted or fixed. That's why we don't have a membership fee. And that's why it's very simple. We want to make sure that the people who support you in this sport, we don't spend $125 a person per ticket. That's why we have our kids 12 and under for free. You should not have to pay for a baby in a stroller, or you should not have to pay for an 11-year-old. Now, if they're 12, 13, 14, 15, that's a little bit different story. They're kind of going in. But we also made it fun for kids fitness. I did have a couple of kids already registered for kids fitness at the Desert Storm Classic. We ended up adding that division and also transformation at the Desert Storm Classic. So we will have transformation at all 4 events. And that'll be a weight loss journey or the other way around. So this is what was brought to me. A coach said, well, I have someone who was very, very thin, very skinny, just a lean build, and they have come a long way to put on some mass and some muscle, and they're proud of that. And I said, well, that's transformation. Transformation doesn't mean just one way. It could mean the other way as well. And I was that skinny kid, and still am. But I did put on an extreme amount of muscle because I worked for 5 years in the gym tremendously, day in and day out. And it required eating more, and it required sleeping better, and it required taking care of myself and making choices that were better for my health rather than going out every weekend and probably destroying my body and making bad choices at 2 in the morning. So that was something I was proud of. And so I want the transformation athletes to experience it if they went the other direction too. If they were maybe a little bit smaller and they have a success story that they can be proud of. And it is a never ending journey. We can all agree on that. So I really, really like that she brought that up. And we will be, I think we're going to debut like the other type of transformation in the Desert Storm Classic. Now, that could be in the American Fit Expo. That's totally cool. If you have somebody that has made a journey like that, get them in that show. Let's do that. So I really appreciated the experiment tonight. You know, the words really echoed really loudly with me because now that I see there's clips, and Alan, by the way, the reason why I have his, if you look at the ticker down here, that ticker is going to allow you to either follow us on Instagram, either at Storm Classic International, Matt Storm Official. We have the Storm Classic K account. So it'll say live with Alan K with Shift EQ. Subscribe on YouTube to the Storm Classic International, or you can go to shifteq.podcast on Instagram. If you have any questions, the website is stormclassicevents.com. And the reason why I want you to follow Shift EQ Podcast is Alan speaks about a broad range of things. And I really like the way he's able to deliver information, but also ask the right questions to get answers that are helpful to you. And his guests are incredible. And he has a story, and some of you got a chance to see that story on the YouTube. So the full replay is on YouTube. It's on long form. We spent about, I think, 100 and no, I'm sorry, it was like 66, 67 minutes, somewhere in there, where we had a great conversation. And Alan told a little bit of his story as far as where he was, where he came from, what he was doing, and also where he is going. And that was, for me, a big, big treat. Probably one of the best interviews I've done in a very long time, if not the best one. And looking very much forward to having guests like that, especially as we move into season 4. So we're on episode 5. We just completed that. We'll be moving into episode 6. If you have a guest and you really think they have a great story, or if they're an athlete and they have big dreams and they have done something, if you have a coach that you feel needs to be featured, I've even had other promoters. I've had somebody like Daryl DeVore. I've had Todd Rogers. We've had Alethea Janice. We've had Dwayne Malone. You go down the list. We've had Mark Turriello with Mr. America. We've had Ian Harrison. He's the president of PCA USA. We like to mix it up with these folks because they have the same outlook in most cases as we do. And they are looking to do very much the same thing that we're looking to do, is giving back to the athletes in our communities that we serve, because that's exactly what it's about. Now, with that being said, if there is a message, which I see people from, let's see here, we have Japan tuning in, we have India, we have Mexico, we have South America as well. Elvis, hello to you. And I saw Miss Texas join. And, you know, we even have Mr. and Mrs. America joining in sometimes, which is great. And sometimes they come online as a surprise guest. So you never know who's going to be in the mix. The way that we're going to announce our guests are going to be typically on Wednesdays. And then Friday, we will go live, raw, uncensored, unfiltered, unless we're traveling. And that might be a skip a week type of deal. But we're doing our best trying not to travel on the weekends now, especially during the holidays. You might want some extra content to tune in on. Some of the stuff we say is controversial. Some of it is PG-13. Some of it is just absolutely wrong. You probably don't want your kids to be around. So I'll just let you know. That's the disclaimer and that's the warning, because when we talk about stuff, we're going to talk about stuff that applies. And some of it is not the most fun or the most comfortable to talk about. And I agree that, you know, there is a big difference between a natural market, right? A natural competitor as opposed to an enhanced competitor. And we did talk about that very specifically. and what our thoughts and our paradigms were about that. We also want to be able to talk about how females are represented. We want to make sure that the sport has the respect intact with the female, the male, also kids competing, transformation. We want to make sure that, and I think that's one of the most inspiring is I don't see bullying that way. I see more the opposite. I see more people having a tremendous amount of respect for a transformation athlete, and that's not to take away from a competitive athlete by any means. It's just that they had the courage to finally start and put one step in front of the other, and they kept going. That's the same thing with competition athletes. They're at a different level. It is extremely challenging to be at the level that they are at as they show up on stage. And all of that deserves our respect. And so we have fostered and created that environment to be able to be supportive as well as to give feedback if someone wants to get their feedback or their critique. So for someone who's going for money and they might have missed it by maybe a couple of places, or they might have placed second or third, and they want to know why they didn't place first, we offer that feedback or the suggestions based on our criteria for what our judges are trained to look at and reward. For a transformation athlete, maybe a transformation athlete, and I've seen this, move into the competitive athlete type sphere. So instead of doing transformation, they will move into maybe bikini or figure or men's physique the following year, the following show. We've even seen people do transformation and do bodybuilding and men's physique and bikini and wellness and figure. So that's pretty cool too. So you'll see, and we had that happen in October. As a matter of fact, I think we had Karen Edwards. She did transformation and she did bikini. Jennifer Skafak did transformation and bikini. Chris Gagny, he did transformation. Eric Kubos did transformation and bodybuilding. And Myra did transformation. We had, let's see here, we had a few more as well. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but that is also commonplace where you will see maybe one year they were in transformation and that gave them the bug and the itch to move to the next level. And then the following year, the following show, you all of a sudden see them, in competition, which is really, really cool and rewarding. So I see Chris joined us. I see Billy. Hello to you. Those are my thoughts on what I saw happen over this week. And I wanted to really just recognize the people who made the time to be with us Friday afternoon, just to have that conversation, connection, and network. It was great because we had people drive in from all over. And Todd and Dana were right next to me. And I just briefly mentioned that Melody was there. So Melody, she sat on the far side of the table, and Melody and Gabor, they're very good friends. And so when she came over, she goes, "Yep, you got to go get the kids. No big deal." And I looked over and I said, "Hey, did you know that Melody is Miss America in women's classic bodybuilding?" And she's like, "Gosh," it was like celebrity fangirl. It was like super cool. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I want to meet her." And a lot of people don't know that. We have professionals. To be a professional athlete is the ultimate stamp or the respect for me to where when they move to that level, if they have an IFBB pro card, that means so much. And it's really cool to be able to have those folks and to be able to talk to them about their journey and their experience and what they're also giving back to the world. So that was just one of those little moments that I really loved seeing. And, some people were like, "Well, hey, where was my bill?" That was the point of the invite. We like to take care of people. And I think that to me, Perry Steakhouse, if you've never been there, they have a pork chop for lunch. It's huge. It's probably 13 or 14 ounces. And a lot of everybody had the pork chop or they had most of their prep food, which was funny. So you'll see potatoes and asparagus, and you'll see steak and chicken and salmon. Tyson had salmon. That was always fun to watch because you can tell the folks who are thinking about competing in 2024 by the way they eat and what they order. So a lot of waters with lemons, you'll see that. And, it was pretty cool. Okay, so it was the best steakhouse or the best steak you've ever had, Chris. That is really good to know for me. I want to go back and do it again, except I want to get a private room this time. We went and tried everything we could to get a private room, but during this time of the year, not going to happen. So that's why I'm thinking about doing another one in January. We've got roughly 33 other coaches that we are involved with, and we're going to open it up and try and keep it small enough to where we can get good conversation. More important, We want to be able to meet new coaches. So for those of you who are a new coach, I know Tony Cadenas never really put an athlete in, didn't even understand what we did. He actually did the show in July. Now he's putting all of his athletes here. Megan Hamilton and Mike Hamilton. That was someone I never really thought had a team with Hyperleague, and they bring Team Canada down, which I thought was incredible. And I've known Mike. He shot all my videos when I was competing and did a lot of my promo videos. And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, that's great. Chris Alejandro with Science and Gains. We've never really even had a conversation. And when I saw him at the October show, I'm like, that's a dude I want to get to know. And I didn't know that he coached, Michael Chidozi, and I didn't know that he knew Sharon Ashworth. And it's crazy the amount of people that they know on how many people you know. And then, you have so many commonalities already. It's an easy way to start a relationship and also to create great friendships and bonds. And that to me is just everything. So, yeah, went on a little bit there. Just thought I'd test this little platform out. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. I can see the comments on Instagram. This just literally opened up last week, and I could not go live with Alan on Instagram because I didn't know how to do it. And I finally just found out how to do it from live stream and simulcast to YouTube as well as X and Facebook all at the same time, and Instagram. It's the one thing I wanted to do for so long, and we finally have done it. So we can include more. Also, if you don't know, we have an overarching Instagram account at Stormtrooper Productions. If you do want to go follow over there, there's going to be exclusive content over there. Many of you have given me feedback on these hats. And yes, we are going to be able to accommodate both embroidery and patches. I ordered 64 hats. 32 of them, half of them exactly, have already been spoken for, sold, and paid for. I thought 64 would last throughout the year, but it seems like we have more fans than we realized. So I will be making another order. Some of you saw the sleeveless hoodie that Dr. Farkas was wearing, and it's blue steel. Those are the old schools, and I love those. I still wear those to the gym. We had a light gray and we had a blue. I'm looking at doing some cool merch. The beanies I love. We took some beanies over to Europe, and they wear them every day, and they send me a picture of them, which I think is extremely cool. So Steph Graham out there. We have Carly, Marshall. I gave them to a few more too. I'm trying to think of who else I gave them to, but anyway, they asked for all of my Strum Classic merch that I had. I just had a little bit left over from like 2021 and 2022. So we had like rain jackets. We had hoodies. We had joggers, which were, a full zip. We had 3/4 zips. We had some t-shirts, and now they're like sporting that gear all over there. So it's pretty cool to see. They love that stuff. And you know what? I love UK stuff. So I'm hoping that they make me some UK merch. That would be good. Miss Fitness Angels and Gym Body. So I'm just putting that out there. Maybe they're watching, maybe they're not. They're probably not because it's 6 hours ahead. So it's 3 a.m. there. Maybe they'll watch the replay, and maybe we'll be able to get more stuff. Anyway, yeah, Cortez, happy birthday, my man. For those of you who know this, and maybe not, you might have seen the Facebook post, but our chairman of judging, Mr. Cortez himself, is having the happiest of birthdays today. We got a chance to catch up with breakfast on Saturday morning after the coaches' appreciation on Friday, and it was really cool because I took him to Roman Empire, and we toured the gym over there, and they have the Panada equipment. Yes, I remember that name, Cortez. Dude, they've got these individual. They're single. They're not a bar, but they're single on bench, and they have like this Italian equipment. I didn't know what it was. They have Arsenal strength. They have hammer strength. They have Nautilus. They have all of this different type of equipment that I didn't realize how cool it was. But when we talk about gyms opening around, drop in your favorite gym. I know Destination Dallas is up there. We have Metroflex, which is kind of old school. We've got Steelworks here in Houston. We've got, some boutique gyms and then some larger gyms and more of some hardcore gyms. Species is here. And so Iron Culture, that's out in Baytown. Iron Forge, that's also in Baytown too. The Ford, a lot of them. So anyway, Absolute recomp. Cortez was telling me about this gym that they literally had hundreds of people waiting to get in to go train at their grand opening, and like it was a 2 hour or 2.5 hour line. I would never wait that long to train because number one, I get hungry and I need to eat. But I saw the inside of that gym. It is well done. I'm personally not a bougie type at the gym. I would rather just go in, do my thing, and get out because I have other things to do besides hang out in the gym and think how cool it is. But I mean, every gym is different, and you're going to feel better in certain gyms training. And I think I found my home, which we get the best training, the best pump. They've got hot saunas, so right after, go get the hot, go hit the cold plunge. And so, for health reasons, I think that just suits what our lifestyle and what our journey is about. But yeah, absolute recomp. If you guys get a chance to check that gym out online, it's ABSOLUT, no E, and then recomp, RECOMP. And for those of you who are not following Flex Appeal underscore official, that is our head judge. That is the way you can contact him. So if you're thinking about competing this year, and you want to get a pre-call or a pre-brief with him based on the divisions that you're wanting to be in, he will give you the criteria and he will go over what we're looking for in each division. So that way, you might think that you're men's physique, and maybe your coach says that you're men's classic physique. Maybe you could be in both. So what Cortez would do is he could schedule a call with you and your coach to go over what the criteria is on what the judge kind of looks for on those shows so you can enter in. Or maybe you're in between bikini and wellness. Maybe you're doing both. Maybe you just want to do one. It can help you to hone in on the criteria to help you get into the right division, especially if it's your first or second time, because if you've competed before, it doesn't necessarily mean we are looking for the same thing as another show or another judging panel would be looking for. We have our criteria written down. It is clear and crystal as day on the website. Matter of fact, your divisions criteria and also where to go on stage. How you're posing, you're going to the center of the stage, and then you're going off to the diagonal. You do first call outs, second call outs, third call outs, and so forth. So I tried to make it as 101 or as simplistic as possible. So even someone who's never competed before, they know exactly how to enter stage left, get on stage, do their thing, and they have an expediter who is going to help them, by the way. But also, we just want to make sure that you don't show up. If you're a bodybuilder and you're trying to put on board shorts, yeah, that's probably not going to be good. You're probably not going to place the men's physique where you probably think you should. The most muscular doesn't win in men's physique. There's a lot of things that go into it, like V taper, symmetry, proportion, muscularity, conditioning, those types of things. Balance. We want balance. We don't want overly muscular in men's physique. Now, in bodybuilding, we do. And if you don't come in overly muscular in bodybuilding, well, you probably need to go to classic or men's physique. So understand what those, three different divisions, when you're starting to cross those lines or maybe do crossover, figure out exactly where you feel you need to be. We have seen many athletes at this point. And frankly, I have a picture on the criteria to be able to tell you what we're looking for in that division. Now, I'm not saying that that's the poster child of it. I just put usually the first place winners up there so you can tell what we're looking for. And you can say, "Oh, I got big old capped out shoulders." Well, okay, does that fit that criteria in that division? And the answer might be yes or no. So that will help you to understand exactly where to go. All right, I beat that dead horse. So I'm going to sign off, and I'm just going to welcome you guys and gals and encourage you. If you have questions, please make sure to message us. But more importantly, we want to see you live and in person. All right. A lot of what we're going to talk about here, you're going to feel like I know you, you know me, and that's great. But I'm going to encourage you, show up to a posing clinic and just listen to the information, get some instruction from some of the best in the business, and you can do more than one posing clinic. You can go to all of them if it fits your schedule and also it fits your demographic as far as where you live. So what I mean by that is if you're in Galveston, you could go to the World Gym Texas City in February, and maybe you don't go to the one in Northwest Houston in March, but you go to the Gold's Gym in Friendswood in May, and then Iron City is also up north too. There have been 3 other gyms that have contacted us that have wanted to do posing clinics. We will have a posing clinic for sure. at PT by Joe Studios in Scottsdale, Arizona. We will for sure have a posing clinic in the Gym Mesa in Mesa, Arizona. The Gym Phoenix has reached out. We also have a few more on the east side. I know Fitness Junkies requested us, and they're on the they're on the far west side. And I went and visited Henry out there, and Jamila's out there. Fitness Junkies is one of the coolest gyms that I have been to, and we want to do a posing clinic there. So the goal is to do 4 in Arizona. We're going to do our first 4 in Houston, and we'll have a few sprinkled in as the shows begin. So what we'll do is we'll have the July show, July 13th. At the end of July, if it doesn't conflict with any Houston shows, we'll probably do another one there at the end of July. And then in August, we'll go run out to Phoenix, do that show at the Culture Fit Desert Storm Classic. This is our 3rd year back at that show. That thing's going to be a monster. That's going to be big. And then we'll probably at the end of August do another posing clinic right before we leave for London. We'll go out to London. We'll do that show. And then we got a little bit of turnaround. It's like a 3-week turnaround. I don't think we'll do one between the London and the October event, but we are planning on doing an end of the year event. We'll also be doing awards. We'll be awarding male athlete of the year, coach of the year, female athlete of the year, rising star, best veteran. And so there's going to be a lot of different categories, and we're still working out the categories. So if you have a suggestion for a category, we want to hear that too. That'll be fun. But those are the things that I have in my head that we're putting into fruition. So if you've never been to one of our shows, we're going to invite you. If you've never seen one of our shows, you can go look at some of the pictures and the photo galleries on the website at stormclassicevents.com. And if you want to catch up on any of the podcasts or episodes on the guests that we've had or just any information, that is going to be on the YouTube channel at Storm Classic International. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for bearing with me when we had our little technical issue and technical fun this morning, and also even during the live. So I found out that we can do it. We now know that we can, and you will be getting more content and more information. So if you're driving, hopefully you can just listen. You don't have to watch, and hopefully it's entertaining, it's engaging, and we're going to ask, who do you want to see? What topics do you want to see? Do you want to hear about health? Do you want to hear about competition stuff? Do you want to hear about the industry? Or do you even just want to hear from experts in a certain department? We can do that too. We'll bring on posing coaches. We'll bring on other promoters. We'll bring on other organizations if that's something that you want. Happy to do that. So this is basically going to be wide open. You never know who we're going to have. You never know what we're going to talk about. We'll be live, uncensored, unfiltered, and raw. So hope you guys have a great Monday night. We'll be coming at you in 5 days with episode 6. We'll be announcing who's on episode 6 on Wednesday. You guys take care. Have fun. See you soon.